Okay, so we're back. This is episode 5 or week 5, I guess. We haven't really definitely decided on how we're gonna call out every episode. I guess by episode, right? Yeah, we'll do episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot easier going forward. We've kind of been filming these episodes kind of sporadically throughout the week, so going by weeks is going to be difficult, and we don't know in what capacities we're going to be launching each episode. Like the last 3 might have video, but the first 2 might be
Mhm.
audio only. So on different platforms, it might be hard to kind of base it. But this is within the first 5 episodes, either audio or video.
Okay, so then this is the Made by Hand podcast, episode 5-ish. And this is where a couple buddies just talk about their woodworking businesses and trying to make it happen. Well, I'm Ryan Murphy.
And I'm Doug Eison.
Sweet. All right, man. So how's it going? What you been up to?
Good. I feel like we talked pretty recently, but yeah, no, it's been a decent couple days, I guess. Still very much computer work, working on the website, getting everything dialed in. I'm having some issues with the templates because we have a current live template now. That's our current website, and we're developing the new one. But now we're getting to the point where some of the stuff we need to develop for the new one is live and connected for the one that's like actually running.
What kind of things, like your products, I guess, or
Products and the blog page, some things that have like unique templates within them that we created for the first website we're now having issues with their being updated because the back end of the Shopify website is only linked for a lot of the admin stuff is only linked to the live website. And so I've basically taken the website, put a password page on it now, the live one, and basically said under construction, email me if you need anything. But yeah, so I'm kind of leaving that up so I can develop in the back end and not have some of the things we're working through be live as we're doing it.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I experienced a similar kind of thing. It gets complicated when you have a live one and you're trying to edit a new one and you're trying to include all the functionality into the new one. Sometimes I can't even remember specifically what they are, but I do remember running into roadblocks where I was annoyed.
Yeah, and it's we're trying to increase the functionality too. We're trying to add a lot of new blocks, and then our new theme that we purchased actually comes with a lot of new functionality that we're implementing that isn't available in the last one.
Well,
So you kind of
can you go over the kind of functionality that you were looking for in the template? Because I was looking recently to see if I was going to switch up to a new template. And these things cost like, around 500 USD, say ballpark between there and like maybe 300, I'd say on average from what I've seen. But like, what were you looking for? And you're like, oh yeah, this is the template we're going to go for from a functionality standpoint.
Yeah, so we were looking for things like the mega menu, having that kind of be very detailed and very customizable. Like we want the hover over the furniture main title to kind of have a drop down with subcategories and then also images that link directly to featured either collections or featured products that we're trying to show. So that was one of the main things. So we have that. I'm just building that out now. And then also we're just thinking about that landing page experience and how quickly we can get clicks through to where people need to be, like with as minimal clicks as possible. So we're adding in a lot of like featured products modules throughout. And then we're also adding in one of the things that came with this template was a lookbook image where you could actually tag the products in the image.
Okay.
So you get like a beautiful living room scene, and then you can tag what our products are, whether it's the coffee table or the side tables and those kind of things.
Is that specific to where they put the cursor on the picture? It brings up the item, or?
Yeah, there'll be like a
Cool.
flashing circle, like basically telling you this is a clickable thing. And then when you hover over it, you can basically see a little bit of information, maybe the price and a little bit of breakdown of what it is. And then if you actually click, it takes you right to the product page,
Very
which
cool.
is super interesting. So we're all of the new things are coming in the landing page, just making that as easy to navigate and comprehend as possible.
And you and I talked like outside the pod recently. I was mentioning how I'm working on my website a little bit for when I'm doing my rebrand now, and just getting my head around using Chat GPT for some of the functionality of just creating so far the only thing I've tried are somewhat simple little snippets of code. But, before you'd have to search around the internet to try and find them. And now it's just it seems a lot easier to be able to get it to generate some simple code for you and tell you exactly where to put it.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT for a lot of things, basically step-by-step guides on how to work within the Shopify templates, because I'm by no means a web developer. I've been around it, but I've never actually been the one clicking the buttons. So just with ChatGPT on the side helping me, kind of just giving me step-by-step of how to do things, it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it really useful. I'm just trying to like move my mic over. I realize like I'm at the extent of the springs, so I'm constantly like it's constantly fighting me to try to get back to home. Anyway, yeah, it is. It's super useful for that kind of stuff, I've found.
Yeah, I've been kind of diving into the whole AI suite as of late, working with like Midjourney and Viscom.ai and just a bunch of the rendering softwares. And I haven't found a perfect kind of package yet, because I do think that it's not enough right now to use one. It's kind of, you have to like every different service has its and kind of figuring out how to pair them all together right now is the key to making it as powerful as it can be. So I've been doing a lot of trial and error. I started actually using the research feature on ChatGPT to kind of research trends and industry standards and things that I need for almost like a business plan in a way. And it's decent. It's kind of generic, the info that it's giving, but obviously it's only able to read articles that are out there, and sometimes the information is privatized by the companies that are doing it.
When you say the research function, is that a specific like button within the app or something that you have to select?
Yes. Yeah, so there is a research tab in ChatGPT. I don't know if the just regular menu like will choose whether it thinks you want the research tab or not. So it might already be automatically happening if your question is worded in a research kind of way. But there is a research tab that I recently clicked on and tried that out.
So if you just ask it any old question, it doesn't necessarily, it's not a research specific query. Like how does it differentiate whether or not it's research or just answering your question?
I believe it chooses the best thing that it has, like the best type of category that it has to answer your question. So if it's what are the stats of the furniture industry for 2024, I think that would kick off, those buzzwords would kick off the research tab.
Okay, and maybe
Yeah.
it has a more defined way that it answers your question if it's in a research capacity.
And it also will go and review websites
Mm-hmm.
and not just go off its normal training. It will actually like review live available to the public websites.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, like I'd mentioned, I think it was last week even, that it would help me find influencers to ask to, to be able to send promo products to and collaborate with or whatnot. So I guess I would assume that's probably similar. Anyway, it's going up next.
I haven't tried that one yet, but that's super interesting and super helpful to people, I guess.
It's just nice that, in my feed, I obviously have a lot of people that I'm following that I think are either directly or tangentially related to the things I'm doing. And, you don't know the people out there that you don't know. So it's nice that it could kind of scrape some of that information for you, especially in the influencer space, because there's just so many. Like when we were talking about looking for direct competitors for the brand, you don't usually have to move too far to find those. It's you can kind of do that research on your own, but for influencers, like it's just so difficult because the functionality too for search and Instagram is awful. It's so hard to find anything. You can't narrow things down. I don't know. Instagram has an AI agent now too, right? Just like everything else does. I haven't used it though. Have you?
No, I don't know if I have. It might be built into some of the things that I'm doing that I haven't realized. But no, I don't do much research for the exact reasons you're talking about. Is it's difficult. It's hard to categorize things. It's hard to kind of remember. Like it has no memory of things that you've done. So I definitely do most of my research for those kind of things off of it, but it usually some of the links are to Instagram pages. Like what you're saying, finding influencers, I'm sure just gives you links to people's Instagram pages.
Yeah, I have found we again to that kind of like business plan side or planning anything out, we're constantly going back and forth and talking with ChatGPT. We'll go through a certain amount of steps and then I'll be like, okay, rehash everything we've talked to up until date and in like explicit detail, tell me everything, and then output that to a PDF so that I can always download a PDF because it forgets, like the language, some of the wordings, it does seem to do a little better. I mean, this is anecdotal. I'm not sure if it's true, but I'll say like definitely remember exactly verbatim what you wrote here, for this mission statement or whatever, because I like that. I'm going to use that. It does all right. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I think it deletes history out. Like it has a certain history, but I think it you can fill that up because I've actually heard in the news. I don't know how true this is, but they're having a lot of issues with like prompts and data, and like they're saying that even people saying please is like adding to like their server issues. And I've noticed that a lot of the image generating, it's saying now, it's giving prompts saying a lot of people are generating images right now, just like it'll get done when it gets done, kind of bite your
Mhm.
time. So I don't see that as becoming less of a problem. I don't think they can build data centers as quickly as people are kind of being educated on how they can use ChatGPT in their life.
Yeah, I was asking it to. I'm designing a PCB board for a product, and I'm asking it to help me design it. And what I want, I'm gonna end up outsourcing this to an Upwork person or something, some kind of freelancer at some point. But I thought, if I could get some kind of file off ChatGPT or just try it out, cool. I'm not at the point where I would actually trust it to then turn around that to a manufacturer and be like, make this PCB board. But
And what
they
is a PCB board?
effectively a circuit board, and what I'm creating is, or looking to create, is a type of dongle or something. So you have ports in and out, USB-C, USB-A, blah, blah, blah. And it did send me schematics, and I want a schematic that works with Fusion 360 and a model, a step file that I can use with Fusion 360. You say, yep, no problem. Here they are after, whatever, a little bit of waiting. And I download it, try to open it, like they don't work at all. They don't even open. And then I'm like, okay, those didn't work. He's like, oh, those aren't the real files. Those are placeholder files. I'm working on them. You'll get them in like 48 hours to 72. And so a couple days later, I go, oh, you got those files ready? Yep, no problem. Here they are. Downloaded them. Nothing. So it does
It
promise.
wasn't.
It
It
promises a
wasn't.
lot.
It
They
wasn't
didn't
good though.
work. No. The files were corrupted. They didn't work, or
Oh
whatever
no.
it is.
But it's yeah. It's getting better though. Like I was. It's every time you go on it, it like kind of does something a little bit different. Like I find. Like it's not. I don't think it's being updated like in like bulk. I think it's just being constantly updated live.
Mhm.
Because I do feel like I'm having a different interaction for certain things where it's getting closer to kind of what I need, like on the first go. So maybe that's just I don't if it's understanding me more or if they're actually like adding the training to it just on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. I know. Yeah. You're on the paid model, or you're not on the paid model? I can't remember.
No, I'm not on the paid model right now, but it's at the point now where I think they've got me.
Right.
Just on
Yeah.
the image generation alone, because it's like it takes me about 5 prompts to get to something that's kind of usable, but not fully, and then I wait. I have to wait 24 hours, and then I kind of move on. Like I forget, or like it doesn't come back up, and then yeah. So I basically am just getting close to what I need, and then not finishing every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I did upgrade to the paid model, which is 20 Canadian a month for the middle tier. Like the first level of paying for it. I think I just ran into a couple points where it was either like memory limited or the types of queries. It was like, oh, you've reached your max. I was like, no, there is no max. You need more.
And yeah, I guess because it switches you from 4.01 or whatever it's at. I think it's 4.02 now. It switches you from that after a certain amount on the free version. Then you have to go back to the old model and like restart the conversation.
Brutal.
Oh. So yeah, and now I think they're on 4.2. So I don't know if it's going to be like you get like 2 questions in 4.2 and then 5 in 4.1 and then back to the regular. Have you seen the new Black Mirror?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, spoiler alert, but there's an episode that kind of dives into this, but it takes the route of using a real person. So it's basically someone gets like an implant that saves their life, but they now are on a premium service, and it keeps getting upgraded, and they like run ads through them. Like they just like start saying ads. And then they're like, "Oh, if you want to get rid of the ads, you have to sign up for the premium." And then they're just selling like little hour passes of like premium where you can do a bunch of stuff, but it's like actually a real person.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a good one, but it's real. Like I know I'm going to be on the $20 thing, but I bet you it's going to get me up to like $90 by the end of the year.
Like $90 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna have something that I need. Like I used to do this for production, and it was like you have the free editing software, and it's really really good. But then you need one thing like noise reduction, which is a very technical thing to do. That this software could just do it and do it perfectly, and you would need that for a client if you shot something like too low light or it was grainy, and you would just need that one thing. And you're like, oh okay, I'll pay for the full version for that one thing that you need, and then you're just locked in.
Well, I was like Adobe You know, for me, I want Photoshop, I need Lightroom, and I use Premiere because that's just what I've started to learn on, you know. Like any, you know better than I would obviously, but one video editing app and I'm like, well, I'm just going to stick with this.
Scary to change.
Yeah, I don't want to relearn, but
Yeah.
honestly, for Premiere Pro, maybe I would. I forget what I'm paying per month, but then they also kind of bait you with that, get all the apps for this limited time for less than you're paying for, the three that you actually use. And I tried that out. Have you ever used Adobe Illustrator?
No, so I worked with a lot of designers and they're always sending me Illustrator files.
Mhm.
And it's just like I have to open them and send them to print or those kind of things. But yeah, no, I've never actually created in Adobe Illustrator. But I literally got sent an Illustrator file today.
It is the least intuitive, most frustrating software that's ever been created. Like it had to have been made when the computer was invented, like just post or during World War II. And
Yeah,
they were like, you know what? This is how software works, and we're just going to stick with that.
just after Paint.
Man, it is so infuriating. It is like no other software that you interact with. There was no right click. I couldn't right click on a layer to change anything. I was like, how is there no right click? Like, is this the one button software? Anyway, it's just the learning curve on it was killing me. Unlike Photoshop, you can go in Photoshop. For me, is just so intuitive in order to get things done. But there's certain things that Illustrator just does much better, but it's a nightmare.
That's the scary thing is the like not the scary thing, but like the reason why a lot of people don't switch is like the shortcuts, the intuitiveness, like honestly a big thing is the shortcuts. Like if we go back to the video editing, like that's your workflow. Like that's knowing the shortcut keys and like knowing them off by heart and not having to look down. Like that's shaving hours off of your editing. So to go into a new program and have to learn the shortcuts and kind of go through that stage, it's a lot to take on.
Yeah, I know when I first started woodworking, when I first started woodworking, I didn't know about SketchUp. I was drafting by like hand for like my first like big project or whatever.
Yeah.
This is before I was paid. This is back when I was hobbyist. But then I found SketchUp, and SketchUp I was like, "Oh, this is amazing, it's CAD sort of, but in no way that any other CAD product so far as I know like really operates. Like it's a very strange way to 3D model, but it's very approachable for people out of the gate, but it gets very frustrating when you make things that are more complex. Maybe it's different nowadays, but anyway, I'm just saying that I learned on SketchUp and I knew it like the back of my hand, and then I started on Fusion 360. And then I learned Fusion. I was like, oh no, this is where it's at. But I'd bounce back and forth between the two, and just knowing, like you're saying, the shortcuts were completely different between the two of them, or like the way you'd pan, zoom, and rotate were different. And it was just no, I have to choose one.
Because this is actually a question for me personally, because I'm in the middle of jumping because I've done most of my like visualizations for the clients in SketchUp just because it was super easy and I didn't have a vast understanding of CAD programs. What is the jump like from SketchUp to like a program like Fusion 360, which I'm hoping to get into because you can't like I haven't done V-Ray yet, but it seems like all of the like photorealistic texturing programs connect better with Fusion 360 than most things.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that about the renderings. The jump. What was the jump like? It's an interesting question. I mean, Fusion 360 is obviously way more powerful of a design tool. And I think once you start using it, it's way more intuitive. It's way more flexible. The one thing that really got me with SketchUp is that it's not a timeline-based design tool where you can't just scrub through the timeline of your design process and go to different stages and then make a change at that stage and then go back to the present, go to the past, make a change, go to the present, and then everything still works together. Now, that's not the way it always works. Like you can break it if you're not designing in a disciplined kind of way. But SketchUp was just like so frustrating. Like, oh, I just want to make this twice as big. Or like I want to add 1 foot to the length of this credenza, extrude or pull it out one. Then I got to move all these shelves over by that same amount. And, there's all this like fiddly little work. So the changeover, I mean, it's just different. When you learn one thing, then you got to learn different. But I mean, I could, especially for furniture, because it's so simple, especially to start out with, because they're all like, everything's a box.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I could sit down and in one sitting, I could get you to the same place you're probably in SketchUp.
Sweet. Yeah, because it's SketchUp is I haven't had like most of our stuff is pretty straight lines, just design wise. But I found when I was getting into like kind of complex curves and like keeping proper dimensions, and that's where it was like, oh, this is a bit of a learning curve that I haven't fully had like full projects that I needed to render it out. So yeah, it's something I have to kind of sit down for a week and tackle getting into Fusion. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, it's just going to know like where are your shortcuts and what is the design discipline. There's certain things you want to do in a certain order in order to make your life easy down the road, especially if you're going to make changes. One thing that's really powerful with Fusion that, again, this might be in SketchUp now, but I would never compare the two because Fusion's just so much better for what I need it for, is that you can put your parameters in a table, length, width, height I just said height. There's no H on the end of height for your model. And then you can just go in and just change that number from 36 wide to 24 wide, and the model will convert itself down to that size, and,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
nothing breaks. So you can always make those changes. It's really handy too if you're doing like I'm doing a lot where I'm modeling something in CAD and then going to my CNC to cut it out in CAM. When I model it and apply the CAM to how it's going to get cut out in the CNC, if I change the model, I just go back into the CAM side of that environment and regenerate all the tool paths as long as I've, again, done it in a certain design discipline, and then I can just cut out that new version of it. There's very little work to be done there to just kind of iterate quickly.
That sounds great. Yeah, I told you probably, but I bought a small CNC. It's about
Oh
this
yeah, right.
It's about this big. Just need it to do our logo on some boxes that we're doing, but I haven't got fully into it. I think it uses G code. Yeah. So are there softwares that create G code? Like I can put in a PDF or SVG or something and then create a G code from that?
Yes. Software that I haven't used before because they're typically more for those, more simpler shapes, like just cutting out a two-dimensional shape, cut out this rectangle, circle, triangle, or any curved item. Or like you're saying, like engraving. There's some that definitely use, and I think in terms of like CNC for woodworking industry, I think that's by far predominantly the way things are done, or probably with vector files. Like you could probably make these. In fact, I know you can make them in Illustrator and just get them cut out right on the CNC using that software. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head. Fusion 360 lends itself more to people or does directly lend it to machining, people making complex parts, usually out of steel and aluminum, for vertical machining centers like big industrial CNC. But for the products I make, there's a lot of tight tolerances with cutting them out. They need to fit within very tight spaces or very defined spaces. They have a lot of three-dimensional geometry. So I'm cutting a lot of pockets and walls and a lot of things that are a lot more finicky. So that's why Fusion works a lot better for me. But like a cabinet shop, they really only care about 2D. They're cutting out a rectangle, they're cutting in a couple of holes, and that's it. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah. So for sure, there's definitely software for that. And those are, I would say, much more popular for woodworking, more common.
Yeah, I got a deep dive into that still.
So what have you been, anything in the shop right now, or are you still doing most back-end stuff?
Yeah, so I'm back in the shop tomorrow. I got to go, actually, right after this, got to go pick up some white 6-quarter white oak. And yeah, doing a coffee table for May 1st, so just before we head to Victoria Design Week.
Right, yeah. What is Victoria Design Week again? Because I'm going to be booking the ferry this week. Is it Thursday to Sunday?
Thursday to Sunday, yep. And it's in Victoria, BC. And it's just a kind of a whole weekend, long weekend, I guess, full of different design events. There's furniture talks, there's open studios where you can go and kind of see behind the scenes of some local furniture and lighting developers, and a bunch of really, really good talks and events for networking. So yeah, it's basically like kind of the Vancouver industry goes over to the island, Vancouver Island, and yeah, kind of does all things furniture and interior design for a weekend.
Have you already scoped out the spots you want to go to?
So yeah, my partner has gone through. I know that Vitra, sorry if that's pronounced wrong, but Vitra, big furniture, long lineage furniture designer and company, is doing a talk. So that's like at the top of my list. Definitely want to be going to that. We have some friends that are doing open shows of their shop. Mike Randall is going to be doing that on Sunday, so definitely want to go. Never been over to his shop, so I want to check that out. We have the launch party on Thursday. Can't remember if it's the Thursday or the Friday, but that'll be kind of a big networking event. Lots of different sponsors for that, and then we'll be hanging out with the AFBC. They're one of the community sponsors of the event as well, and we've done some collaborations with them in the past. So we're gonna kind of check into what they're up to down there. And that's the Architecture Foundation of BC.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So you're going on the Thursday then?
Yeah, so we're going up Thursday, which is May 1st, right?
I don't know. Is it? More or less May 1st.
Yeah. So we're going up Thursday. We're actually going down till Sunday. We'll be in Victoria, and then we're going up to Campbell River to visit my partner's sister.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay, yeah. So I mean, we can talk about this more offline, but yeah, I think I'll be up there on Thursday as well.
Yeah, but this is our first time going to this event, and we're really excited because it's kind of like those FOMO, like last year when you kind of see everything, all like everyone that was there and all the posts that come out after it, and you're like, damn, that was kind of something that we should have gone to. So this year I was like, we're 100% going. And yeah, it's kind of like a walking event. Like it's just like there's events across town all day long. Some of them happen at the same time, so you kind of pick and choose. But you have like kitchen showrooms doing like wine and discussions. So it's like a panel of people talking, and then kind of serve wine, and you go and see their showroom. So yeah, it's just kind of a great place to kind of be out there for the brand.
Yeah, nice. I got to spend some time definitely looking at if there's anything, in particular that I want to see. Like, I make mostly, or the things that I'm most interested in is actually seeing smaller items. Like lighting sounds really interesting to me, how they're, integrating any kind of, I don't know if you call it tech, obviously lighting, but, electronics or other disciplines into woodworking and also some mixed mediums. I'd definitely be interested in checking out some stuff. So yeah, I definitely have to spend some time researching before we go so that I know I'm going to hit a few. And then maybe if you're networking a little bit, I might get to see how a master does it and how you actually approach and talk to other people, which is completely foreign and alien to me.
Let me know if you find one. I'll follow him too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'll need my wife there. Just like nudge her is like, can you just start a conversation?
Step one. This is the only thing I'm missing in the networking is starting the conversation. I'll do everything else.
Yeah. Do I have to spill a glass of wine on you, or what do I do to what's the?
I've done that at events, and it's even if it's not your fault, it's still you kind of have to kill that conversation.
Right. Fair enough. All right. Good.
But yeah, what about you? What do you got on the bench?
So I've got that sound bar shelf that's going behind a couch and a couple of very simple and I don't know what to call them, end tables. They're like mini bookshelves at either end of the customer's couch that are that white oak veneered plywood with the thick white oak edge banding. Those are done. Those are really quick, which is great. I also finished for a restaurant customer. Do you know what petit fours are? I'm sure you probably do.
Petit fours? No.
Yeah, so at the end of the meal, after your dessert, just before you get the check or whatever, that you get a selection of like little desserts, like one biters basically. I think it was just like chocolates or a little truffle or whatever. And
you
so
are eating at different restaurants than me. I get the check, so that's all I get.
I did put that as though you get that, whenever you go to anywhere. Like McDonald's doesn't usually roll out that kind of red carpet after you're not eating. Not to say that you're either at the places that I'm eating at that are 12 courses and you're going to McDonald's and there's no in between. Anyway, so they serve petit fours at the restaurant, and the chef owner, good buddy of mine, he wanted something new to serve them on. Actually, the last thing that I made for them was I make, it's still in the store now before the rebrand, but I have a casted Nike Air Max sneaker. Oh, nice. So it's like a solid concrete sneaker basically that's finished or whatever, and it's made as like a candle holder. Anyway, I took the reverse side of that, the underside obviously of the sneaker, and made plates out of the sole of the Air Max, cast in a similar medium and finished, and he would serve petit fours on those. And now he's doing, have you ever seen Toyo toolboxes? They're like a stamped metal Japanese toolbox.
No.
Okay, you should check them out. They're pretty cool. I mean, some are more utilitarian, some are just for display. I mean, they can serve both, but they've become kind of trendy. And he's got these little Toyo toolboxes, this like great stamped Japanese steel toolboxes that come in a bunch of different colorways. And on the inside, he wanted an insert made out of walnut. So it had like a cavity for him to put one type of petit four and then a flat little recessed surface to put another petit four. So I basically out of walnut, cut out like about 20 of those to fit in the Toyo toolboxes. So when they go to the table, they open the lid and then there's your nice elegant petit fours on the inside. Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty quick job. That was like one day at most. And it's really just like fiddly sanding, which is a lot of the products I make out of wood because they're small and it's just like some very fiddly sanding. That's a pain in the butt.
Oh, it's such a pain in the butt, especially if there's like glue or like it just in the little crack or like in the little corner or something. And that's, yeah. So when you're taking on jobs, do you kind of slot it out? Like, I know you said that you're kind of booked till the fall, but are you accepting any rush jobs in that are like net new, or are you kind of, hey, I'm not taking any more bookings until the fall? You can obviously pay and put a deposit down now, but the project won't be started till the fall. Or are you kind of like deciding like, oh, maybe I'll work 14 hours and slot in an extra project? Do you ever kind of deal with that?
Sometimes that's it. I mean, for these petty fours, I just worked on Sunday and just worked a little extra hours during the week. But yeah, I guess it depends on the size of the project, who it is, and whether I can fit it in. Also, there are some projects that, people have certain deadlines. Like I have a project coming up for a restaurant group, and I'm making the kitchen tools or the HDPE, and a lot of that is CNC work to begin with. And then once the parts are more or less roughed out, then there's not an insignificant amount of assembly and finish and kind of active hands-on work to get them made. But during that time, while they're running on the CNC, I can be doing another job. So I'm basically just loading and unloading parts while it's cutting it out, and I can get another job fit in during that, or at least pieces of another job. So I'll often have, probably two jobs happening concurrently on top of like the retail stuff, which is always ongoing. Yeah, it's usually just based on deadline. If I can fit in another thing in between here and there, or clients like they want something simple, like this guy who wanted the simple couch tables or whatever. I have another big commission coming up, and I was like, I'll just take a few days here, fit you in, so you don't have to wait until July or whatever until you get your items. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As
Yeah,
long as there's time in the deadlines.
that's always the hard thing, as both of us are kind of small teams, very small teams. Yeah, it's basically, well, I can make more money, but it's taking away from like personal time, like every single time.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, for me, like in my life, this is definitely the time to be doing it because we do plan to have kids, and that's going to be coming up soon. And so my window for time, energy is definitely closing if I look at the lives of all my friends and family that have kids and all of the warnings that I should be heeding about the way your life changes drastically. Then yeah, I've got to make the most of it while I've got it.
Definitely. I was going to ask you. So when you have a deep connection in the chef community, in the restaurant community, and I know that that's where a lot of your work comes from. But have you ever done any outreach? I know we had talked in the past that you had maybe sent flyers or email blasts, but like just for kind of the audience, have you ever done anything that you've seen cold success from, or cold outreach success from? Like any little kind of tidbits or responses that you got from something that you did?
No, not for, well, other than meta ads. Like I said, I think I got a little bit of work for some potential custom work that all fell through. To be honest, now that I think about it, all of those things. Sorry, a few customers paid for some samples of some custom work to do some kind of white label retail products for. So like versions of things that I already make, but under their branding. So they paid for all of those samples. And so that was paid work. But in terms of it turning into a real viable long-term job, no. And yeah, I just haven't done a lot. I'm not good at it. I mean, it's like, I think it's the thing I talk about most is just how terrible I am at marketing and knowing what to do and having time for it.
Well, I think this is going to be interesting because we just finished our catalog that we've been working on, and it's going to the print today. And so this is going to be our first kind of like outreach, because like similar to you, a lot of our projects have come off of word of mouth and kind of snowballing from building things for other people. But now is going to be our first time, now that we've kind of built the brand up a little bit and kind of just through the events and stuff that we go to, we want to kind of see if we can parlay that into some new long-term clients. So this is going to be our first time in a way cold outreach. I'm going to make sure that I have conversations with the people that I'm sending the flyers to prior to sending them, or the catalog. But yeah, we're excited to kind of see if we get any traction from that. And that will be our first real like industry specific, like hands on the ground research that we do. So,
Yeah. Do you have them all decided? You know where you're going? You know how to get
yeah,
to them?
so I have a series of I have 14 lists that I've made, like ones that we've made by just Googling, searching, ones that ChatGPT has made us, ones that we've just got through like physical business cards from events from actual people that we've talked to, and then our Instagram as well. So we do have a pretty detailed list. It's just going to be kind of coming up with those contact points of how we're contacting each one of them. And the general idea is to get our catalog in their hands, whether it's through the full box with the wood samples and the cutting board gift, or if it's just the catalog, it's kind of going to be a mix to kind of A/B test what gets us the most responses. I know that a lot of firms do like to do like lunch and learns, like they're more receptive to that, where you kind of go in
Sorry,
the
can
office.
you expand on that? What is that? Lunch and learn?
Yeah, lunch and learns are basically you offer to buy the team lunch, and you go in during their lunch hour and you kind of give a brief description of who you are, what your services are, what you offer while they eat the lunch that you bought them. And it's very simple. I've done it millions of times for production, but I've never done it for, I've been asked for it a couple times in the furniture industry, but I haven't done one. So honestly, there's still going to be some trial and error on like the level of company that they're expecting to do those presentations. Like, I don't know if they're expecting like a massive kind of company with a bunch of sales representatives and a bunch of trade representatives, or if they're open to working with kind of local craftsmen that maybe doesn't have as large of an offering, but kind of is creating maybe more unique or maybe more sustainable long-term objects that they can put into their locations, and then also market that they're working with local developers as well, right? Which is becoming increasingly big in this world.
So you said people reached out to you to come do a lunch and learn, or that they would do for you?
Yeah, so no, they didn't reach out. It was just basically saying, hey, we're Humble Object, this is what we do, and them saying, oh, you got to come in and do a lunch and learn for the team. Like, it's basically meeting one person from the team and then them suggesting, oh yeah, we really like what you're doing, and we would love if you presented it to the rest of the team.
I see. And how much does that run you? Like, how does that work? Are they like, oh, we would love Thai food today? Or
it's usually like a mid range, but is a marketing thing too. It's like you don't want to get them something that seems cheap or that they don't like.
yeah.
So I think like Thai food or like freshy, something on the healthier side, like bowls are usually a good idea because everyone can kind of customize what they want. And they obviously have the vegetarian options. They have all those things. Then you just make sure to bring in like coffee for everyone. And yeah, the more kind of catered or thoughtful you can make the food choice and the experience that they have when you're there, the more they're willing to work with you, because a lot of people just like to work with people that they like.
So how would you go about figuring out? I mean, there's got to be obviously a budget in mind for whether it's worth doing this thing. I mean, I know production's working with different levels of revenue perhaps than you might be expecting from going with this different type of business. So how you assess that?
So these people, you kind of have to, it is a little bit of a gamble, but you do have to think of like lifetime value rather than like initial purchase, because obviously they're going to want to test what you do. So the first purchase, even within the first 6 months, 7 months, a year, they might buy a couple tables or a couple chairs, and it might just be kind of on a fluke that they need to fill out some spots in a project that they're doing. And this is specifically like interior designers or developers. They might not put in a massive purchase right away.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to understand that it is an investment. It's similar to a gamble of going to a trade show. Like if you're going to put $15K into a trade show to kind of get in front of those potential clients, it's kind of a similar thing where you can put $15K into a lunch and learn plan and then hit 20 spots or whatever it comes down to. But yeah, in terms of cost, it's the marketing materials, which is kind of at scale is not that much, and then the lunch, and then if you value your time for you're there, you can add that in as well.
So you've got like a half hour. Is this an hour? Does it change?
Yeah, it's usually between 30 and 45 minutes.
Okay. And so marketing materials, you're going to bring print.
So you usually bring a digital deck that you'll like, hopefully they have a boardroom. Most of them do, because you kind of target the level of firm that's in office with a kind of sales boardroom that they work with. And you want to, bring in some print material that they can kind of have in front of them while you're presenting. And then you just go through a very quick deck. The key is to, like, no one wants to hear you speak for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Like, we're not that important. So it's more about figuring out what they need. So you just kind of briefly go through the presentation, 10 minutes, and then you spend the rest of the time either answering questions that they have based on your presentation or asking them specific questions. Because I think like quality of your work is like the minimum, like is like you have to have that. There's no question. So it's not really important to kind of convince them of that. It's either they've decided that you have it or not very quickly within the first 10 minutes, even before the meeting. Sometimes if they've kind of like, oh, who is this? Like, let's just do a quick look. They may have already decided whether this is someone that they'll entertain or not. And then it's 100% about finding out what their needs are and how they would work with a service provider like us.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
But I'll be able to talk about it on the podcast coming up, because that is our May plan, is to kind of get into a bunch of rooms. But first is getting the website with the catalog, because I think that will be a huge thing for purchasing, is to not just go into those meetings with this is clients we've worked with before in the hospitality or residential area, but having a catalog like here's what we sell, here are our designs, giving them kind of off the shelf purchasability as well as offering that custom kind of make it whatever size you need design.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And obviously having the website up means there's something that they know they can return to, more permanent location.
Yeah. And it's also kind of getting them signed up for the trade program, getting a trade representative attached to them, and starting to kind of start that what could be a 15-year relationship, 20-year relationship, who knows, right?
Collecting some emails.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, emails are important, but like numbers where someone's giving you their phone number and you're texting about a project, like, is worth its weight in gold versus emails.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm interested to see how it turns out this month. For sure. Like,
no, I'm excited. I'm excited
how
to
it
chat about
goes, how it, the different challenges and the different like boons of doing it and the woodworking business too. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot going into it. Like, there's going to be a lot of interesting information going just on the contacting part of it, because it's obviously we're going to go the normal routes, but just seeing kind of what those responses are and the availability of them to kind of set up a chat, because you almost do need a like office manager or an office administration person to help set it up, because these are very busy people in the middle of projects. So it's in the production, it was always getting the office administrator to kind of wrangle everyone to do the presentations, and it was either like the accounts person or whoever it was at these agencies. But we're too early into this that we don't know kind of who that person is at an interior design firm, but we'll find out.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because even if you can get a hold of the people who are the actual parts of the design team, and you're trying to organize time, they just don't have the time or the capacity to try and organize that themselves, or would not be interested in it. So obviously you would need somebody that is at that capacity for their business.
Yeah, you definitely need to catch them at the right time. Like, obviously, a lot of people have their vendors who they work with consistently, but I do find that a lot of stuff is just coming from kind of overseas providers. So there is definitely a more local approach that I think is a benefit to them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So why don't we go through, or do you want to keep doing this rosebud thorn thing? What do you think? What's the feeling on that one?
I like it.
You like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. What's your thorn?
Yeah. This is like the only real, note taking to do before this podcast, like to actually get something ready to complain about, like, and look forward to. And still, on number 5, there's been no thinking ahead to what it's going to be.
It's more natural that way, though. I'm coming up with it in my head right now. So take as long as you want.
I've got, so that thorn, one thing this last week, so I don't pay for a garbage service here at the shop. I'm too small, it's too expensive, and I don't want to put another bin in the parking lot back here. There's already one from my neighbors, and anyway, it would just take up parking spots as well. So for whatever reason, I don't need pick up that often, so I just throw everything in the truck and I take it to the transfer station, right? Which is effectively the local dump for anyone that uses it under a different name. The dump and recycle, they're both in the same place. So I loaded the truck up with everything, like packed to the gills this time because I've been so busy, and then ran it up. It's not that far, but it's like 30 minutes to get there, whatever. Find out that they're actually closed to the public because they're doing like some renovations. And the next one's in the North Shore, which in Vancouver is the exact opposite end of the city. So that's an hour away. So I drive to North Van, which is an hour away to get there, and it's lined up like around the block because everything else is shut down. And so I'm just like, I've got something else to do today. So I had to drive the truck back to the shop, another half hour back into the middle of the city, and then just wait till the weekend when they kind of opened up the hours at the regular transfer station. But I just drove around for a couple hours on like Thursday, just wasting my whole day away with a whole load of garbage in my truck. So that was very annoying. And I thought like there's just no other way I would have known that they're shut unless I get there, because I don't go often enough. And whoever reads a sign, right? Who reads a sign about something that's going to shut down? You know, like all those like warning, this on ramp is going to be shut down between this time and that time. And then as soon as it happens, like 3 months down the road, and they've been warning you every day with that lit up sign on the street, you're just pissed off. It's like, how could they shut this down? I had no idea. So anyway, that was that. What am I looking forward to? So the products that I'm making a new casting, and I was just able to finish the mold before the weekend, and now I'm trying out different mixtures for my casting medium. So there's a few different kind of recipes that I've made that the end product that I want is a cement, basically. And I want it to be of a certain consistency and texture. But more importantly, I want it to set up in a certain amount of time so that I can get it out of the mold and do multiple in one day. Because the other option is that I have to have multiple molds and then wait a day. Say it takes maybe a day or a little bit more to demold a regular cement mixture. The other thing with regular cement mixtures is they're very thick, so they don't flow into molds very well. So I already need to change that mixture anyway. So I'm experimenting with some different mixtures to try and get something that's as close to the color and texture that I want for the cement, but I want to be able to demold, say within an hour. So, in a given day, I could make 10 of these, no sweat, because they still need post processing, and they also need time to mature and cure anyway. You can demold in an hour, say, but it's still going to take you the 48 hours till it's at, 80% of its life's durability and hardness. And then if you know anything about cement, it kind of gets harder indefinitely, basically, as it cures. Not indefinitely, but a couple years down the road, it'll be much harder than it was when you first took it out. So anyway, I'm working on that, but I'm looking forward because I'm making some headway with it. So I'm looking forward to finding that mix and getting that done, which is kind of the same as the rose this week. The thing that I'm really stoked about is that I did finish that mold for this new product, and I did one test casting with it, and it looks good. I was showing you before the podcast on the back of the thing that I'm molding, which for anyone listening, I won't show it yet because I'm just developing this product right now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But if you just picture a cube of concrete, say, from making that cube of concrete, I'm making it in a mold that surrounds that piece. So I get exactly a perfect cube of concrete. So there needs to be a spot where I'm filling that mold from, and then there needs to be like sprue air vents so that the mixture, there's no air bubbles trapped in the mold as I'm pouring it. And when you demold them, that means that surface that had the pore spout, the inlet, and the sprue, that there's imperfections in the surface where the rest of it's like perfectly smooth. So on this product that I'm developing, I just figured out kind of in my head in terms of design that I'm going to cover those with aluminum plates, because I needed to solve where I was going to put branding and other information on the products anyway. And I really like the aesthetic of the aluminum thinking about to adding to the back. So I'm really happy. I got, the first one out of the mold, and I'm problem solving the next part of the design, and I'm really happy with the direction it's going. So yeah.
Awesome.
So how about you? What do you got?
I'm still thinking of what the thorn one is the hardest one, because it's honestly when you have so many weeks where you're doing the same thing over and over again. So it's like once you have a thorn one week, you kind of have the same thorn the next week. It's like,
that makes a thorn then, isn't it? Like, aren't you tired of working on a website?
I'm very tired of working on a website. I know I talked about it earlier, but I guess my thorn is kind of the development process of, yes, working with the templates is great and can get you exactly what you need. A lot of the times, if you have good kind of photo assets and video assets and like the things you need for that part of it, but the development is very finicky. What I do like, and this will go into my bud, is that because you're putting custom code in through ChatGPT, which I'm very scared to do, because if you don't do that and you stay within the template guidelines and modules and changes, you're not going to break the website. So there's not going to be like an unfixable thing that's within the code, because it's very kind of robust in the code that it puts in and the code that it takes out in the back end based on those modules that they've already created. So that you can always go back and fix or change things without like permanently ruining the code. And what you said is smart, that you put in the code ChatGPT so you know which sections to remove if it ever breaks. But yeah, I'm in my development journey. I'm kind of, I have to live within the templates for now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're saying that there's also like some snippets that you wish had a little bit of, that you could augment a little bit more comfortably at this point, but you're just not gonna.
Yeah, but it's like going from like 98% happy to 100. It's not, honestly, if I like don't think about it for an hour, like I forget it. Like it's not a thing that's like make or break in any way. Yeah.
So you're saying you've got your minimum viable product.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, this is website 3, so this is moving past the MVP. This has to be
Yeah.
this is our next 2 years of website, hopefully.
Hmm.
But yeah, obviously we can update it in little ways. I think what I like about what can be my rosebud, or sorry, my rose, is that the template that we're using has a lot of scroll, like parallaxes or scroll responses. So we can actually, like, as you scroll, a piece of furniture comes up and takes away the words. Right. And like,
Oh yeah.
it's very, that's what we wanted. Like, we kind of used like the Apple website as kind of a,
Hmm.
not a goal, obviously, but as kind of a style reference in a way for certain things. And we just love the interactivity of the scroll, making things happen other than the page going up. That kind of makes it feel a little more polished and a little more designed. So
Hmm.
we're really leaning into that. And there was a lot of built-in things into the template that we purchased that gave us that right out of the box, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff's very cool. Actually, there's definitely some things like that I wish I could implement on my website. Maybe I will if I change template or like you said, create a bunch of very breakable code that risks everything.
And see, I don't know enough. Maybe there's a bit more research that goes into that, but it would be very interesting if you could just take your current template and add in sections of other templates. You could kind of like piecemeal in sections, because I know that there's thousands of templates, and we might get all the interactivity of the scroll that we want, but it might come from 6 different templates. So it'd be great to purchase modules that you can just put in, and I'm sure that exists in some way. I just don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know how to do it.
I have gotten things like that, and basically you just hire one of those Shopify coders or experts to add in things exactly like that. So I think on just about any template you have, you can add things like that with that functionality. You just hire someone to write it so that it works with your theme. I had somebody write a few things for my website, but one was a picker for different variants of the lamp that I had on the website. So there's white oak, there's walnut, or no, I think it was ash at the time. There's ash, there was a black one, a black stained ash, and then there was walnut. And then because it was an asymmetrical design where the part of the lamp was on the left side or the right side, so if you wanted them for both bedside tables, you'd probably want a left hand and a right hand version. So that added another bit of, selecting. Or if you wanted to just buy one and you wanted to buy one left hand, or you wanted to just buy one right hand, or you wanted to buy a pair of one of each. And so that kind of variant selection where it, jumps to the images, where it just shows the images related with one that you picked in the right colorway, the right orientation, and all the tags involved in that. I had someone add that functionality to my theme, because at the time, maybe it does now, because they do update the themes as time goes on. It didn't have that, so I had to get someone to custom code that, and it worked. It worked really well. It wasn't perfect out of the gate, and I had to get a few tweaks done to it, but yeah, it's worked since as well.
I added in a custom because my dream was to have our catalog that we built for B2B sales. I wanted to have that on the website, and I wanted it to kind of be like a scroll interactive flip. So as you scroll, the page flip, and that would be like the kind of the first thing on the trade page. And so I actually figured out how to do it, found a third-party service that I could tag, or I could embed, create it on there, and then embed it into the website. And I did it, and it was up there. But then I got like they don't even tell you this in the thing, but I got a message saying like, okay, your free usage of this is almost up, and it's going to be $150 a month to like keep it going. And it was like a licensing thing. It wasn't like, it was such a weird thing. It was a huge scam. And it was like, I guess they just hope that people don't like cancel it quick enough, and they get like $150 off everyone, because they're like, what the hell?
Right.
legally, technically. But yeah, so no, I had to like remove it, get rid of it. But yeah, they wanted to charge me $150 licensing fee per month for it.
Man,
So
the whole licensing subscription stuff is out of hand. Like I
yeah,
just go in, write that code for me, give me that thing,
yeah.
a finite cost, you know. I mean,
Well, it's
that's
gonna.
something we
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say like it would be a segue, but we can talk about sometime about hiring people on Upwork. And my experiences with that, I've had a few experiences, one of them like very negative and some that have been fine, like good enough. But yeah, definitely when you're hiring someone to do a service for you and you can't physically put your hand on them, you got to consider some things.
Yeah, I can. Let's save that for week 6 or episode 6 because I'm currently I have an offer to some guy on Fiverr right now for something, so I can kind of update on whether that worked. But I've definitely hired a ton of people off of Fiverr. It's not. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. Like I don't even know if I can suggest it or like I don't even want to give a referral for it. But like you said, I have had successes, but I've also only used it for like very simple things. Like it's never been something like complicated. So I don't think I've actually tested what Fiverr's like ceiling is.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that'll be a good one for next time for sure.
Let's do it. All right. Well, that's a perfect end to this. If you want to follow me or check out our business, it's at humble_object on Instagram. And you can go to www.humbleobject.com. Right now, we're currently under construction, as spoken about earlier in the pod. But you feel free to leave your email and we can give you updates on when we're launching.
Sweet. And I'm at Odd One Out Design on Insta and on TikTok, I'm pretty sure. If not, I don't know if you're going to find us there. And then oddoneoutdesign.com. All right, man. Good
All
chatting.
right. See ya.
See ya.